Welcome to Hildestone College's quick lesson series where our teachers give you some English language tips.
Hello and welcome back to Quick Lessons. Today we're going to work on your writing skills and have a look at some example sentences to improve your exam writing. Specifically, the grammatical area we're going to look at is present participle clauses. So let's get started. One of the uses of a present participle is to give the results of an action. I've got 5 example sentences for you which will increase in complexity. All of them are good examples. Okay, I'm not going to tell you at the end that some of them are wrong. They're all okay. Just some are better than others. Let's look at number 1. It rains heavily. The valley floods. We've got 2 independent sentences here. The reader or the listener has to make the connection between them. Because of the sequence, it's fairly clear that the flood happens because of the rain. But the words don't actually tell us that. It's just suggested by the order of sentences. Of course, we could use a conjunction to join our sentences. We could say, it rains heavily and the valley floods. That makes the closer relationship between the 2 sentences a little clearer. But you all know that and is a very simple conjunction to use. So if you really want to impress someone with your English grammar, you're going to need to use something more impressive than and. Many of you will be familiar with verbs of cause and effect, and you might like to write a sentence like number 3. The heavy rain causes the valley to flood. It's quite nice to use the verb cause there to show the relationship, and we've used the noun rain rather than the verb. And academic writing often uses nouns rather than verbs, so that's quite a good strategy. What you could also do for variety is use a relative clause. There's one in example number 4. It rains heavily, which causes the valley to flood. Finally, we're going to have a look at the option involving a participle, because it's kind of related to the relative clause. Look at example number 5. It rains heavily, causing the valley to flood. Can you see what I've done is take out the which causes and I've just replaced it with causing. Now that's not that complicated, is it? But many students don't use these forms because they're just not so familiar with them. Now, I'm not saying that you should use them all the time, because of course a variety is what you need to show. You need to show that you can use relative clauses and participle clauses. Okay, so don't go overboard. Don't go using participle clauses too much now just because you can. Remember to use a variety. Another way to use participle clauses is to give reasons for an action. So let's look at some examples for that. The concert was cancelled, the weather was bad. Now that's another example where the sequence of sentences shows the relationship, not the words. Of course, you could also say the concert was cancelled because the weather was bad. You could equally say the concert was cancelled because of the bad weather. And you could use a relative clause. It's slightly inelegant, I feel. It's a bit wordy. It uses more words than it needs to. But you could say the concert was cancelled because of the weather, which was bad. It's not my favourite sentence, but it is possible. If you want to use a participle, you need to make a slightly bigger change, because then you would say, all right, the weather being bad, the concert was cancelled. Okay, so you can see there that we've just used an ing form to replace the which was of the relative clause. That's kind of the relationship between these kinds of parts of a sentence. Finally, we're going to look at present participles to add detail. The government will raise taxes. This increase will start in April. Now, although this is two independent sentences, it's still quite a nice combination because you've got this increase, which is a kind of shell noun or general noun, which refers back to the idea of the taxes being raised. Academic writing often does this, so this isn't a bad example at all. However, you could also say the government will raise taxes starting in April. So there we've got our participle, and we've just got one sentence instead of two. You could also play with the word order here and write something like, starting in April, taxes will increase. That's also okay because, of course, it's only the government which charges taxes to its citizens, so that information about the government is actually understood. So you actually don't need to say it. So any of these three examples would be acceptable. Okay. So remember, the main thing is to write correct English. You don't want to be making mistakes in an exam, do you? But a very close second to that is to use a variety of sentence structure. And in most exams, you generally get credit for trying to use a more complex form, even if you make some small mistakes with it. So it is quite a good idea to try and take some calculated risks rather than just writing very simple sentence forms to ensure you don't make mistakes, because at the end of the day, that won't impress the examiner. You do need to try to impress the examiner. So practice using these participle clauses. Good luck with it, and I'll see you again soon for another quick lesson on a different kind of participle clause. See you then. Bye.
Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please click on the like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe and click the bell icon so that you don't miss the next video. That's it for this lesson. Until next time, goodbye.